how do we show compassion to people with bad ideas, but without legitimizing them, like without bending? I can think of an example, like, dare I say it, maybe like the pronouns or something. Like, I've just been thinking about it it suddenly came into our culture, and I was just like, oh, this isn't really a good idea. But then you're being told, you're like, I'm like, I'm a bit gender non-conforming. Like, I'm a lesbian. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, just be who you are. You don't need to go around dictating speech. That seems just quite odd to me. And it quite often seems like it's about power and control. And quite often the people that use it are people that just don't have any control over their own life. So they're trying to control other people. That's my opinion and my experience. But I also want to be compassionate to those people. Like, just because I don't like your idea doesn't mean I don't like you. Yeah, and maybe you don't have to be specific with that situation, but just in any situation, like, how do we show compassion to people without legitimizing their ideas?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it can be difficult to do that, because another thing that we tend to do is identify with our ideas. Our ideas are not just our ideas. They are who we are. So I believe this, and it's not just something I carry around in my mind and my heart. It's me. And without it, I wouldn't be myself. So that's kind of how people treat some of these things. And that obviously creates a problem, because once you criticize the idea, they feel criticized as people. So you have to actually make the effort and say, listen, find some way, however works for you, and makes it clear to them, I respect you as a human being. I understand where you're coming from. And if you don't understand, you have to start there. You have to start by just asking and say, well, what utility does this pronoun thing have? What purpose is it meant to serve? And they're going to have an answer, and they'll be delighted to tell you because they care about it. And then you have, all right, so, maybe you've thought about it before, and you go, well, okay, I definitely agree with trying to make people feel comfortable and accepted. That's a good thing. But there are some issues, like, what about this or what about that? And now you're having a conversation. You can at least settle them a little bit by acknowledging that the intention that they have is something you agree with. Like, I certainly agree with making people feel comfortable. I certainly agree with making people feel like they're included. That's a good thing. I generally think, yeah, that's a good thing we should try to do for people. Not every approach to doing that is going to be productive or actually achieve that. And some of them are going to have side effects that we have to think about. But here you are, you're already kind of breaking things apart a little bit. And you've set them at ease by saying, I'm with you on the motivation. That's star manning, So you can say, for example, I use this example all the time. Daryl Davis, he's with FAIR, he's an advisor at FAIR, and I believe he's also a fellow for FAIR in the Arts, because he's a jazz music, well, not a jazz musician, he's a musician. Mm-hmm. And he also deprograms Klansmen.
Wow.
And he is what we would call a highly melanated person. So that's a very strange situation to be in, but he's done it over 200 times, just through talking to people. And he certainly doesn't agree with any of the things that they say, but he figures out a way to make those people feel heard and respected and understood as human beings, even though he doesn't agree with or respect the ideas that they're espousing. And that can be tough to do, but if you do it, you have the chance at having them actually listen and really, really listen to you. There's incredible footage of Daryl Davis at a Klan rally, because he's invited by the Grand Wizard of this Klan rally, and he's surrounded by all these Klansmen in their robes, and he's there because he was invited by this guy, and this guy is telling all of his fellow Klansmen, I respect this guy because he respects me enough to sit down and talk to me, and so I respect him to sit down and talk to him. That's insane. But he achieved that through modeling the behavior and saying, you know, look, I respect you as a human being. I don't think you're a monster. I don't think you're a horrible person. I don't agree with your ideas. I think you're wrong, but I want to understand. I want to understand where you're coming from. Explain to me how his big question is, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? And you have to flip that as well. How can I hate you if I don't even know you? You know, and if you think you know, you probably don't.